Hokage give me a face. Conan, Chapter 1-20. Chapter 1 _ Come to the world of Conan. Following Yizan's words, Yizan only felt that his spirit and physical strength were rapidly being consumed. Not long after, nearly half of his physical strength and spirit had been exhausted. And at this time, this space channel is worthy of being built. This made Yizan really a little surprised. Although he spent more than this when he traveled through other worlds, he must know that his current strength in Dragon Ball is not comparable to other worlds. After all, it is a world of high martial arts that can destroy planets at will, but even this has consumed nearly half of his physical and mental strength. Although this is also due to the fact that his own energy has been given to the 18th, there is still a small amount of energy left in his body, and his body and spirit are still top-notch before, so he still consumes nearly half of his physical strength and energy. Spirit. Traveling beyond the world is really not an easy thing, Yizan said. Yizan said and looked at number 18 beside him. Let's go. As the figures of the two stepped into the space passage, the space channel slowly closed. However, it doesn't take so much mental and physical energy to open it again. After all, even if the space channel is closed, there is still a part of it left. The difficulty of the two is not at the same level. What kind of world is this? Soon as he came to the world of Conan, number 18 looked at Yizan strangely. Number 18's perception spread, and all the people he sensed were weak enough to be ultimate, not even counting the 5 scumbags. You must know that a normal person's combat power is 5. And there are some people whose physique is not even as good as that of ordinary people, and they are all in a sub-health state. An ordinary world. Yizan looked at number 18 and said, "You feel that the force value here is very normal. My new realm is difficult to succeed in a world with high force, but on the contrary, when the force value is very low in this world, it is easy to succeed." Quote. Yizan's words made number 18 look at Yizan a little strangely. It's not easy to succeed in a world with a high force value, but is it easier to succeed in a world with a low force value? Yizan nodded, and after a while, Yizan was stunned. Because Yizan forgot one very important thing. The world he came to was indeed the world of Detective Conan, but he forgot to mention the time period when he came here. Therefore, Yizan was very sad to find that the time period he came here was not very good. Conan is still Kudo Shinichi, and Yizan sensed Kudo Shinichi's state. Well, don't mention Kudo Shinichi's name, it's really a copy of Conan. In other words, Yizan came to Kudo Shinichi's childhood. That's all, it's okay, it's not many years anyway. Yi Xuanfang said lightly. Time, for Yizan, has lost its meaning. What's wrong? Number 18 looked at Yizan, feeling that Yizan was a little frustrated. It's okay, there was an oolong incident. Yizan slowly explained to number 18 a mistake he made when he came here. That's it. Number 18 nodded, looked at Yizan, thought for a while, and said, then let me go to this world first. 18 looked around curiously. 18, who has never come to the new world, is very curious about everything around him. Well, let's go. Yizan also waved his hand indifferently. After leaving on the 18th, Yizan glanced around, and finally headed towards the city where Conan was located. First of all, get some money. Yizan walked on the road and said slowly, all along, the world Yizan went to is a world with power. As long as you have power, the rest is easy to get. However, there are some exceptions in the world of Conan. The world of Conan is more similar to the modern world before he passed through, and such a world is generally extremely repellent of very powerful forces, especially personal force. And it is precisely because of this reason that Yizan still did not use his powerful strength to accumulate wealth. After all, this matter is not a big deal. For Yizan, accumulating wealth is a very simple matter. Just need fate. Yizan looked at the lottery station in front of him, and the corner of his mouth slightly evoked a smile. It didn't take long for Yizan to see the next lottery run from his fate. Anyone. Yizan walked into the lottery station with a smile, and came out not long after, holding a few lottery tickets in his hand. Well, the rest is easy. Yizan stretched his waist greatly, and found a hotel not long after. At the same time, he quickly began to look for a mansion around Conan's house. However, after looking at it for a long time, Yizan still did not find his satisfaction. Or, just buy the house here, and then push it to rebuild it yourself. Yizan looked around, and finally nodded with satisfaction. Well, that's it. Today, let's go to the hotel now, Yizan said slowly. Within a few days, Yizan learned that he had indeed won the lottery. Yizan was going to collect his huge amount of coins from the lottery station. But, please show your ID. Yizan frowned slightly. Can't only lottery tickets work? No sir. Yizan sighed slightly. Okay. Following Yizan's words, Yizan's eyes stared at the lottery station staff in front of him. Although he had no energy, he was just hypnotizing an ordinary person, which was a piece of cake for Yizan's huge mental power. It didn't take long for Yizan to leave the lottery station with a lot of coins in his hands. It's done. Yizan's mouth curled into a smile. The rest is easy. In the next time, Yizan started building the mansion. Not long after, a mansion that made everyone look at it slowly appeared in the open area not far from Conan's residence. Beautiful, spacious, luxurious and comfortable, it is simply an ideal residence, which makes everyone look at this residence with envy. Chapter 2_Pressure People. You really enjoy it? No. 18 looked at Yizan, and looked at the house and environment that made people feel extremely comfortable. Although I knew before that Yizan is a person who knows how to enjoy, but now, Yizan's mansion has made number 18 refresh his new feeling. Yizan is simply the representative of enjoyment. Can't you enjoy it too? Besides, if you want to enjoy it, it's easier than me, okay? Yizan glanced at number 18. The technology here is equivalent to pediatrics for you. It's easier for you to make some money, right? No. 18 lay casually in Yizan's arms and yawned. But, it's so boring, I don't want to do it. Yizan glanced at number 18 speechlessly, and said slowly, how is it? It's been a while since I came here. How do you feel here? No. 18 pondered for a while and looked at Yizan. What's the matter? Yizan said suspiciously when he saw number 18's reaction. No one can bully you here, right? Although no one can bully me, some people can disgust me. Number 18 said in a good voice. 30 Yizan looked at number 18's reaction and said with great interest, how do you say it? Road 18, some officials, some underworld, and some self-righteous people are all disgusting. But, husband, you don't let me kill them. Those people bother me again and again. It's really disgusting. On the 18th, Yizan raised his eyebrows. So what? You want to kill them? Yizan's words made number 18 nodded. Yes, those people are really disgusting. Yizan pondered for a while. Well, I allow you to kill people, but the person you kill must commit a heinous crime before you can kill them. Ah, number 18 pouted unhappily. But what about those who are not heinous? Yizan looked at number 18. It's very simple, you're not a heinous person, you just use your power to oppress people. Using power to suppress people. Number 18 looked at Yizan suspiciously. How to suppress people with power? In times of peace, there is something more useful than in times of war, and that is power. Yizan said slowly to number 18. Power. Number 18 looked at Yizan suspiciously. Well, being born in the world of Dragon Ball, power is really useless. It's all up to whoever has the bigger fist. Yizan said slowly. For example, officials, such as chaebols, such as clubs, no matter which one, as long as you are in charge, you will find that you can easily put those who bully you into a situation where life is worse than death. Yizan said slowly, then shook his head again. No, at that time, maybe no one will dare to bully you. Yizan's words made number 18 blink his eyes and look at Yizan. Is it really like this? Yizan waved his hand. then you can try it. By the way, I forgot to remind you of something. When you are killing people, it is best not to use too much power. Oh, although number 18 doesn't know why, it doesn't matter. Anyway, there are 5 scumbags everywhere. If you shoot at will, you can definitely kill these people easily. On the 18th, he thought for a while, and then said to Yizan, then I'll go. Well, let's go, Yizan said slowly. In the days that followed, Yizan was bored and experienced the fate of the whole mansion. And Yizan didn't know, when he was staying in the mansion, the officials in his place took a fancy to his mansion. So, you'd better move out, or something unexpected will happen, which we can't expect. Yizan looked at the underworld in front of him, raised his head casually, and threw it out. Huh, how many times is this already? Yizan sighed helplessly and said slowly. Since an official took a fancy to his mansion, he has been harassed in various ways. To be honest, Yizan was really annoyed. It turns out that fighting 5 scum is also annoying. Yizan shook his head and said so. However, Yizan didn't care much about these things. These things were nothing to Yizan. Looks like it's better to go to the official to solve it, Yizan said, looking up at the sky and yawning. Otherwise, this matter will really delay my continued understanding of the fate of the operation. Quote. Yizan said. He has pushed open the door and left. That night. The officer's room. Hello. Yizan looked at the official casually and said so. Who are you? The official looked at Yizan in shock and looked at the door, which was locked well before the official entered. As for the windows, this is the 5th floor, and besides, the windows are closed. How did you get in? What do you want to do? Yizan looked at the official quietly and got up slowly. 710. What are you trying to do? I called the police. Yizan looked at the flustered officials and said slowly. I am the owner of the mansion you want, but what I want to tell you is that you'd better not keep hitting on my mansion. Otherwise, don't blame me if I do something extreme. Yizan said, glanced at the marble table in front of him, stretched out one hand, and pressed it slightly on the marble table. Crack. After a very small sound. The official looked at the depression of a palm on his marble table in surprise. The official was quite sure that his tabletop was made of marble and was very flat. That is to say, this palm print was used by the person in front of him. Made by hand. But, how is this possible? That's a marble tabletop, the official shouted in his heart. Yizan glanced at the shocked official, turned and left. In Yizan's opinion, his warning was enough. Well, Yizan, like number 18, has been in a world with great power for a long time, and some things are really too simple. Chapter 3 _ Disgusting person. Yizan glanced at the shocked official, turned and left. In Yizan's opinion, his warning was enough. Well, Yizan, like number 18, has been in a world with great power for a long time, and some things are really too simple. In the world of high martial arts with power, this kind of warning is very practical. After all, as long as the strength is not up to the level, generally speaking, the other party really won't find it boring. However, Yizan forgot one thing, that is, this is the world of Conan. There are no powerful and incomprehensible moves in the world of Conan. Therefore, Yizan's threat is not as easy to use as in other worlds. Of course, this also has something to do with Yizan's indifference. In Yizan's view, with his powerful physical and mental strength, he is not afraid even if he uses the world's missiles and other hot weapons against him. But Yizan forgot one thing. Some things, although they won't kill people, are disgusting. There is a saying that is very good. And then, Yizan was completely annoyed. The next day, Yizan got up early because Yizan always felt that something would happen to him today. However, when Yizan wanted to experience the operation of fate, he found that the trajectory of fate was ambiguous. It seems that it is still impossible to observe the fate of its own operation. Yizan has been experiencing the movement of fate for a while, but as long as his own destiny is involved, Yizan still finds that he has no way to experience the movement of his own destiny. Yizan suppressed the thoughts in his heart. Anyway, even if something happened, in this world, he would not have major events such as death. Then, Yizan regretted it, deeply regretted it. Yizan frowned as he saw that he was surrounded by police. Please come with us to the police station. Many policemen were talking to Yizan one after another, and at the same time, many guns and ammunition were also aimed at Yizan. Yizan frowned tightly. Why? You are suspected of illegal entry, illegally embezzling other people's property, and, threatening others, suspected of attempted murder. Clean up and come with us. Yizan frowned tightly. Illegal entry. Illegal embezzlement of other people's property. Attempted murder. Yizan was a little confused. Anyway, go to the police station and talk about it. Yizan pondered for a while, nodded, and followed many policemen. But, come on. Yizan's back was directly pushed heavily, and Yizan, who was afraid that he would appear to be appointed with a little force, was staggered by this heavy force. In an instant, the anger in Yizan's heart burst out. What are you doing? Come on. Having said that, a policeman actually picked up the handcuffs and handcuffed Yizan's hands. This time, Yizan could hardly hold back the anger in his heart. Well, Yizan finally realized what number 18 said. Disgusting. Good. Yizan took a deep breath, and there was already a guess in his heart that he could have such great power to activate the power of the police station so quickly, and there was only one person who had something to do with him, and that was the official who peeped at his mansion before. However, I have to wait a little longer, at least until I can confirm whether it is the cause of the official's attention. Yizan said slowly. Not long after, Yizan came to the police station. Then, go in. Soon, Yizan was treated illegally. Turn the camera off. Following a policeman's words, the policeman looked at Yizan. Do you know what mistake you made? I didn't give my mansion to that's called, what is it called? Well, Yizan really forgot what the official's name was. Then, HMPH, you're not too stupid. Police said to Yizan, how is it? Do you agree? Yizan sat on the stool and looked at the policeman opposite. Me. Of course I disagree. The anger in Yizan's heart surged. Then I hope you can persevere. With the policeman's words, Yizan smelled a stench. Yizan actually saw several police officers holding feces that exuded a foul smell, and then splashed them at Yizan in Yizan's surprised eyes. Choke. In an instant, Yizan broke free from the handcuffs and avoided the feces that were thrown at him. Kill you. The anger in Yizan's heart burst out completely. Boom. With Yizan's punch, everyone present was smashed to pieces. Huchi. Yizan was gasping for breath in incomparable anger, and the stench in the air was even more fueling, causing Yizan's anger to rise even more. Officer, policeman. Yizan forcibly suppressed his anger and walked out of the police station slowly. It didn't take long for the officer to be killed. Then, a more troublesome thing appeared. Ooh! A strange sound of wind made Yizan look up, but he saw a helicopter, and then numerous armored vehicles also spread rapidly around Yizan. Army. Yizan turned his head. It seems that the mansion still can't be lived in. It's a pity. Yizan shook his head slightly. Not long after, Yizan came outside. At the same time, Yizan's face has also undergone a slight change. Although there is still the original shadow, it looks a little different. This is the reason why Yizan wants to prevent his life from being more convenient in the future. It didn't take long for Yizan to come outside. Looking at the army that surrounded him, a sinister smile cracked at the corner of his mouth. My anger, I haven't finished venting it yet, you came just in time. Following Yizan's words, Yizan rushed down, and quickly started the movement of threshing machines and destroying vehicles. It didn't take long for many troops to be frightened by Yizan's attack. Yizan just remembered one thing: how should he leave the field? Okay, the performance is too strong. Yizan rubbed his head in embarrassment and thought so. However, soon, Yizan was no longer worried. Boom. With so many bombs, Yizan left the stage logically. Chapter 4_Killer Group. Ha 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 ha. On the 18th, he laughed unscrupulously in front of Yizan, pointed at Yizan, and said almost breathlessly, "It's really fun," and finally I was caught. "Have you laughed enough?" Yizan said in a good voice. Hearing the words on the 18th, he covered his mouth and didn't say anything, but the shaking shoulders still told Yizan that the 18th was still holding back a smile. After a while, on the 18th, he said slowly, "I didn't expect that, husband, you told me not to kill people. As a result, you killed more people than I did." On the 18th, let Yizan press his temple. "Okay, don't laugh, I didn't expect that, I warned you, but I myself forgot what I said. I have always used force to solve problems, and I forgot the proportion of power in this world has been reduced." Quote. Yizan said slowly. "Don't worry." Number 18 looked at Yizan and said, "I am already solving this matter, and the progress is very good. I am enjoying this feeling more and more now. Power is really a good thing. Before, it's so much fun that the 897 that makes me sick is now crawling under my feet." Yizan looked at number 18 and said, "Well, you can do whatever you want with this matter. I still have things to do. Because of this matter, the new realm has no progress at all, trouble." On the 18th, he glanced at Yizan. "Then what are you going to do? Also, what about the former mansion? What should I do? I gave up on rebuilding." "Don't do this, I like that mansion very much." On the 18th, Yizan shook his head. "I'm not going to give up that mansion, but I'm going to rebuild a mansion that is more comfortable and luxurious than this mansion." "Really? That's really great." Number 18 also looked at Yizan in surprise. "After coming to this world on the 18th, I like to enjoy more and more." Other words, number 18 finally understood Yizan's thoughts, and now began to pursue the quality of life. And Yizan came to the mansion before him. "Well, if you're bored, let's make a haunted house." The corner of Yizan's mouth slightly evoked a strange smile, and his spiritual power enveloped the entire mansion. It didn't take long for someone to discover the weirdness in this mansion. As a result, curious people constantly want to enter the mansion to find out. As a result of this, the reputation of Yizan's haunted house in this mansion is getting louder and louder. Akatsuki's story about Yizan was also known to everyone. An official spy on the wealthy businessman's mansion to steal it, and even dispatched the police and army, and finally killed the wealthy businessman, and now, the ghost of the wealthy businessman has been occupying this mansion. Among and under such rumors, more and more people entered this mansion to find out, and this situation continued until the death of several people. Things that were already extremely terrifying have become even more mysterious at this moment. In the following time, because of the horror of rumors and the horrific consequences of entering the mansion, fewer and fewer people entered the mansion. Yizan finally relaxed a little and began to practice his destiny. In this way, while Yizan is comprehending his destiny, on the other hand, he is living a leisurely life in the world of Conan, getting to know many plot tasks in the original work, and at the same time enjoying life in this world. Time flies by like this. Originally, Yizan didn't have much concept of time when he realized the trajectory of fate, and in addition to enjoying life, he didn't have the concept of time passing. Under these circumstances, Kudo Shinichi is growing rapidly. At the same time, Yizan also started his own plan, the establishment of a killer group. This is a way for Yizan to kill time when he is bored. Because Yizan had seen many shady scenes under the sun before, a killer organization established to help those Avengers who were struggling to find a way to revenge. The reward of Yizan's killer organization is very simple, but it is very terrifying, that is, human life. Yizan's killer organization trades life for life. If they want to kill others, the reward is the life of the person who issued the task. In the news given by Yizan, as long as the assassination mission is released, the person who releases the mission will be forced to join the organization, and after joining the organization, he will act as the killer of the killer organization to train for a lifetime of survival. As for the matter of profit, this is not within Yizan's consideration. After all, Yizan has the support of the Chaebol established on the 18th. Yizan really doesn't care much about the simple matter of profit. And over time. Before Yizan knew it, Yizan had already received a message. What? Conan showed up. Yizan was stunned for a moment, looking at the information in his hand. Is it time for the plot to start so soon? Yizan slowly stretched his waist. No. 18 looked at Yizan strangely. Husband, why do you care so much about this guy named Conan? Yizan said slowly. It's nothing, it's just fun. Yizan said, got up slowly, and said to number 18, it just so happens that my understanding of destiny has also reached a bottleneck. Maybe going out for a walk may have miraculous effects. Yizan can now easily understand and change the fate of others, but he still has no other understanding of his own destiny, and he still cannot change his own destiny. Well, that's it, I'll go meet the so-called Conan first. Speaking of which, I haven't come into contact with Conan yet. Yizan said, got up and walked towards where Conan was. Soon. Yizan came to Conan's side. Huh, did you just become a child? Yizan watched as Conan experimented with the voice changer he had just obtained from Dr. Ali in Dr. Ali's laboratory. And when Yizan was bored, one thing far exceeded Yizan's expectations. Someone posted a mission. Soon, Yizan got the content of the task. Star Yoko. Yizan said suspiciously. After pondering for a while, he said slowly, it seems to be a plot character too. Chapter 5 _ Snow White Other Shore Flower. Client of his, killer, mission. Is it the task you posted? Yizan asked while looking at the task client in front of him. Yes, it's me. Yizan looked at the task client in front of him and nodded. Well, I see, Xingxing, is it Yoko? We have taken over this task. Yizan said, and was about to turn around and leave. But when Yizan was about to leave, the client suddenly said to Yizan, don't. I'll give up the release task. Yizan heard the words and turned to look at the client. Mr. Tengjong, I forgot to tell you something. Even if you give up the release task, you will still have to pay the remuneration you should pay. Yizan's words made the client, Mr. Tengjong, look at Yizan in surprise. Your reward will kill me. Do you want it now? Yizan shook his head. You don't need to worry about our remuneration. I only have one request. Promise, you take this thing. Tilda. Yizan smiled and handed a very beautiful snow-white flower to the client. Mr. Tengjong, this flower, I hope you don't throw it away. No, no, no. Yizan watched the visitor take the snow-white flower in his hand, and a warm smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Then, this transaction will be cancelled. Yizan said, turned and left in the slightly relieved eyes of Mr. Tengjong. On the spot, that Mr. Tengjong looked at the beautiful flower in his hand and showed a gentle smile. Yoko. That Mr. Tengjong breathed a sigh of relief and walked towards the place where the star was. This Mr. Tengjong really thought that the matter was over like this. However, Mr. Tengjong didn't know that his fate was already doomed. Husband, you are really bad. Beside Yizan, after a burst of brilliance, the figure of number 18 slowly appeared beside Yizan. I don't know how number 18 did it, and now he is more and more mysterious. I didn't expect that after you used my energy, such a huge change would happen. Yizan said slowly looking at number 18. No. 18 sat casually on Yizan's shoulder and looked at the flowers in the hands of Mr. Tengjong who was leaving. The snow-white other side flower. If that Tengjong knew that he was holding the blood-white other side flower known as the invitation of the god of death, how would he react? Number 18 looked at Yizan and said. Yizan said indifferently, then how else can you react? How many people in this world can truly survive life and death? After knowing the news of his imminent death, It is nothing more than panic and fear and other emotions. But he's innocent. It's not like my husband's style. Number 18 tilted his head and looked at Yizan. Yizan shook his head. It doesn't matter if my style is not mine. He is already destined to be a dead person in his destiny, so he is a dead person. It doesn't matter whether he is innocent or not. On the 18th, he looked at Yizan. Seriously, before the 18th, after hearing that Yizan's new realm turned out to be that illusory destiny, he almost thought that Yizan had been ripped off, or that Yizan was stupid. And then, after seeing Yizan's so-called track of fate, number 18 felt fear and awe for the first time. This fear and awe are the awe of the unknown and powerful existence of fate. In order to truly verify the existence of the so-called fate, number 18 once personally protected a person who Yizan said was destined to die in his destiny, but even with number 18's protection, that person died in the end. The reason for the death very strange. When eating, I accidentally choked on the water, and coughed abruptly. Death. No, 18 still can't forget the appearance of that person who almost coughed out his lungs. Fate, does it really exist? Number 18 looked at Yizan and asked suspiciously. Number 18 really doesn't understand, that so-called destiny is really so powerful. Exist. Yi Xuanfeng said calmly, haven't you experienced it a few times? Yes, the 18th experienced the operation of fate, but not only the previous one, but several times, but all ended in failure on the 18th. Then according to what your husband said, this man named Teng Zhang is dead. Number 18 looked at Yizan and said. Yizan nodded. Not only will he die, but he will also die in the house of the star Yoko he wants to kill. Yizan's words made number 18 feel a little emotional again. Although he has seen it many times, number 18 still can't believe that this is true. I'm going to have a look. I don't believe it anymore. This time, neither you nor I are allowed to shoot. No, 18 said to Yizan. Yizan nodded. Okay, then let's take a look. Yizan said, followed number 18 and quickly disappeared in place, quickly following up with Mr. Teng Zhang. It didn't take long for Yizan and number 18 to follow Mr. Teng Zhang to the star Yoko's house. Ah, number 18 glanced at Yizan suspiciously. Although I have seen it many times, every time I see it, I have an incredible feeling. Yizan looked at number 18. How do you say? On the 18th, he looked at Mr. Teng Zhang who was at the star Yoko's house, and said to Yizan slowly, I could have seen clearly that he was just wandering aimlessly, but it was really amazing to come to this star's house like this. It's incredible to know that Akatsuki would be here in advance. Yizan waved his hand. It's nothing, do you want me to tell you about his next move? Yizan's words made number 18 look at Yizan with some fun, and said in surprise, is that okay? Can you really predict his actions? It's just an ordinary person who is about to die. The trajectory of fate is so short that ultimate, you can see it clearly. Yi Xuanfeng said calmly. Really? Number 18 looked at Yizan in surprise. Really? Then tell me his next move quickly. Chapter 6_suicide or homicide. He's going to pour a cup of tea next, take out the photo, and after looking at the photo for a while, he's going to kill himself. Yizan spoke slowly. And following Yizan's words, that Mr. Teng Zhang seemed to have heard Yizan's words, and continued to act according to Yizan's words. The feeling of coercion is simply. On the 18th, watching Yizan and Mr. Teng Yang's strange cooperation, he looked at Yizan with starry eyes. Is it really possible? Yizan looked at number 18's puzzled eyes, nodded and said, it's natural, just wait. Yizan said slowly. On the 18th, he watched carefully. As time passed, everything Yizan said was carried out slowly and orderly. Ah! With a call, that Mr. Teng Zhang actually committed suicide. This. No, 18 looked at Yizan in surprise again, and once again, number 18 felt the existence of the incredible but mysterious fate in Yizan's mouth. Yizan looked at number 18 with a slight smile on the corner of his mouth. Okay, let's leave. No, 18 looked at Yizan suspiciously. Don't we want to use blood to dye the white flower on the other side of Yuhi? Yizan met number 18 feet's puzzled expression and said slowly, no. We never dyed the Yuhi flower with blood, but the flower absorbed the blood and turned into Yuhi color. Following Yizan's words, on the spot, the snow-white other side flower that Mr. Tengjong was holding had fallen into a pool of blood at some point, and the strange thing was that the blood on the ground seemed to have acquired some strange power. They all converged on the snow-white other side flower, and in a while, the snow-white other side flower was completely dyed Yuhi. If you have an understanding of the organization established by Yizan, and seeing the appearance of this other side flower, you will know that this is because of the organization established by Yizan. The Invitation of Death, by Insiders, the blood-white other side flower. However, this informed person is actually extremely rare, and only some police officers have some knowledge of it. It's not that Yizan's organization is strong, but because the mystery of Yizan's organization sounds strange. Mystery doesn't mean strong. However, this is not the case in practice. Because all the targets killed by the invitation card of the God of Death did not have the slightest intention of being murdered, and those who were killed by the blood and white flowers seemed to be killed because of various accidents. However, the other side flower is a very obvious feature. Moreover, all the places where the other side of the flower haunts and the targets that were killed, before they died, many were clearly warned and informed by the enemy that they were about to die. All signs indicated that those dead targets were killed. However, counting from the first appearance of the bloody white flower, the police have still cracked the case of the bloody white flower, and this is only the death example of the bloody white flower known to the police. Some of the deaths were even discovered after a long time, or even never discovered, because even the relatives of some of the dead targets thought that the deaths were due to accidents, so they did not call the police, did not alert others, and the police did not know Akatsuki. However, it is precisely because of this that the white other side flower that was dyed with blood and the color of Yuhi was also called by people familiar with it, the invitation to the God of Death. Because, as far as we know, there is no accident, all those who receive the white other side flower will eventually die, and even if the white other side flower is discarded, the other side flower will still appear in the deceased when they die. By his side, and was so immortal that Yuhi was stained with blood. And this time. Ah! With a startled exclamation. Mori Kogoro and others came to the Star Yoko's room in surprise. Inside, Mr. Tengjong, who was given the flower by Yizan, had died and was lying quietly on the ground. Alarm. Following Mori Kogoro's words, soon, the police came to the scene. What? When the police came up, they saw the snow-white other flower that had turned into a bloody Yuhi. Invitation to the God of Death, blood-white flowers. The policeman said suspiciously. Unfortunately, the police officer Mumu knew the existence of Akatsuki's bloody white flower. The invitation to the God of Death, the snow-white flower. Both Conan and Mori Kogoro looked at the policeman's eyes strangely, confused and didn't know what it was. It's not Snow White, it's blood, blood of blood. The policeman came to the dead Mr. Tengjong, staring blankly at the other flower placed at Mr. Tengjong's feet, and said with little interest, it was an accidental event leading to death. Quote. Huh. Everyone looked at the police in amazement. Such an obvious homicide death was finally characterized as accidental death. The policeman said, or else. What do you think it is? Yamagishi, Yuko, either one is suspect. Mori Kogoro said this to the police officer Miki. The police looked at everyone. Okay, what's going on? Let's talk about it. The policeman's attitude was a bit perfunctory, but Mori Kogoro didn't notice anything about it, and quickly told the police about the matter. And with Mori Kogoro's words and everyone's discrimination, soon, the whole thing 3.1 became clearer. However, in the end, everyone was still not sure who shot it. Okay, since you can't be sure who shot it, then. When the police are ready to characterize the case. Wait. After Conan knocked out Kogoro Mori, he quickly used the voice changer to start analyzing the case. And with Conan's analysis, everyone looked at the deceased Mr. Tengjong in astonishment. So that's the case. Everyone nodded to show that they knew. The policeman Mew Mew nodded and said, "That's it, Tengjong committed suicide." The policeman's eyes were twilight, and he seemed to have little interest. Chapter 7 Grim Reaper Invitation. That's it, Tengjong committed suicide. The policeman's eyes were twilight, and he seemed to have little interest. The policeman's twilight attitude quickly aroused everyone's curiosity. "Well, Officer Mumu, what's the matter with you? Is there something wrong?" Conan looked at the policeman and asked this question. And everyone including Mori Kogoro nodded quickly. "Yes, what's the matter?" "Officer Mumu." Officer Mew Mew glanced at the crowd, but in the end he didn't say anything, just shook his head casually, and was about to turn around and leave. At this time, Conan said slowly, "Is it because of that flower?" Conan's words made Officer Mumu look at Conan in surprise. After a while, he slowly sighed. "Okay, since you found out, then I have to ask you to keep it a secret." "Secret?" Everyone looked at the policeman in surprise. Mew Mew said slowly, "What color is this other side flower?" Mew Mew's words made everyone look at Mew Mew in astonishment. Can a colorblind 30 be a police officer? Of course it's Yuhi, Conan responded quickly to Megumi's words. "Yeah, bloody color." Shaolin also looked at Mew Mew a little strange. "Yeah, bloody Yuhi, but if I said this flower was Snow White before, would you believe it?" The policeman's words made Conan and his group look at all this in surprise. "Yes, this other flower is white. The reason why it is the blood Yuhi color you see now is because the white other flower is dyed Yuhi color by blood." Officer Mumu's words made everyone look at Officer Mumu in shock. "Blood-stained Yuhi. How is that possible?" "That's right, even if Yuhi was stained with blood, it couldn't be so evenly stained." The policeman looked at everyone. "That's why I don't want to tell you, this matter is very involved. To be honest, I'm not even qualified to know about it, but I just happened to encounter this kind of incident before. Only to be told the truth, you better keep the next thing a secret. This blood Yuhi's other side flower, whose real name is the bloody white side flower, is the blood of blood, not the snow that snows. Blood white, the other shore flower." Everyone looked at all this in surprise, and didn't know why they were suddenly scared. And then, the policeman's words made everyone's heart skip a beat. "Also, this blood and white flower also has a nickname, the invitation card of the god of death." "The invitation to the god of death?" Conan's eyes flashed with curiosity. The policeman said slowly, "Whoever accepts this other side flower will die after that." "Huh?" Everyone looked at Mew Mew in surprise. "All will die?" "Yes, they will all die. No matter how tightly protected they are, they will die in the end due to various accidents, even before the eyes of the protectors." Mew Mew's words made everyone look at Mew Mew in surprise, and they were extremely surprised. "How is this possible?" Everyone looked at Mew Mew in surprise. With a lack of interest. "In short, that's it. This is a shame for our police, please don't spread it out." Mew Mew said. He turned and left. In the same place, Conan and Shaolin both looked at the little Yuhi-colored other side flower. Their eyes were a little straight. I don't know why at this moment, both of them have a feeling that they are still with this other side flower. Will meet, and will be deeply entangled together. On the other hand, Yizan slowly looked at the people who were leaving, yawned and said to number 18, "Let's go, it's over." "No." 18 nodded and followed Yizan to a mansion like this. This mansion is more luxurious and comfortable than the one built by Yizan before. It is very comfortable by the mountains and rivers. And, most importantly, it's not far from the city, or in other words, it's not far from where Conan and others are. Not long after Yizan and others came to the mansion, Conan and Shaolin came to Yizan's mansion. "Ah, it's Shaolin, come in." Yizan looked at Shaolin who was coming, and slowly evoked a smile. "Excuse me, this is Conan, a friend temporarily placed it in our house." Shaolin introduced to Yizan. "Oh, it's Conan." After Yizan said casually, he followed Xiaolan into the mansion. Wow, so luxurious. As Kudo Shinichi, Conan entered this mansion for the first time. It's luxurious, isn't it? When I came here for the first time, I was also taken aback. There is such a luxurious and comfortable place in our urban area. Xiaolan said, jumping forward. Yizan had been in contact with Xiaolan very early, so Xiaolan was also familiar with this place. What to drink? Whatever. Xiaolan looked at Yizan with a smile. By the way, Yizan, do you know the blood-white other side flower? Blood and white flowers. Yizan looked at Xiaolan in surprise, frowning in a pretentious manner and said, have you received an invitation from the god of death? You really know. Xiaolan hugged Yizan in surprise and said, I knew it, nothing can trouble you. Yizan looked at Xiaolan and said, okay, let's talk about the invitation card from the god of death, the blood-white flower, have you received it? Xiaolan shook her head. No. I just encountered a case with blood and white flowers. Cases. Murder cases. Yizan said suspiciously. No way, if the blood is white, there should be no murder cases. It should be an accidental death, and at most it will be defined as suicide. Yizan's words made Conan's eyes widen in surprise. Xiaolan also widened her eyes from the bottom of the well, looked at Yizan and said, I didn't expect it, you really know. Yizan nodded. I know a little. Yizan said and sat on the sofa slowly, looked at the crowd, and said slowly, I didn't expect you to meet that bloody white other side flower, it's really interesting. Yizan's words made Conan look at Yizan. Hey, do you also know the blood white other side flower? What's going on? Can you tell us? Xiaolan also said to Yizan, yes, can you tell us? Yizan looked at the curious two and said, it's not that I can't tell. Chapter 8_Murder Without Flaw. Yizan looked at Conan and Xiaolan who were very curious, and said slowly, actually, the matter of the blood-white other shore flower is astonishing and surprising, and it is simple and simple. Yizan said, looking at Conan and Xiaolan with blank faces, and said, blood and white flower is called the invitation card of the god of death. The most important reason is because the way to get blood and white flower is different every time. Sometimes it is given by others, sometimes picked up on the road, and even some people will occasionally encounter a snow-white other side flower between actions, and then pick it off. There are various ways, but there are no exceptions, as long as you get it. This other side flower, after that, will die, no matter what the reason, in that aspect, it will die by accident in the end. Yizan's words made Conan look at Yizan. According to this, could it be someone who killed him? Yizan lay casually on the sofa and said to Conan, there are policemen who think the same way, but, in the end, no matter how the investigation is done, the results show that it was a natural and man-made disaster. Natural and man-made disasters. Both Conan and Xiaolan looked at Yizan in amazement. Yeah, Yizan raised a smile at the corner of his mouth, and said to Conan and Xiaolan, because these dead people have very obvious characteristics in advance, that is, they received that white other side flower, so for those who died conservation and investigation are very beneficial and simple. Quote. Yizan's words made Conan nodded. No one can kill without any flaws under heavy protection. Even if one or two flaws are not found, it is obviously impossible. Then, how many times did this death happen? Conan asked Yizan, looking at him. For some reason, Conan always felt that things were not so simple. Compared with what everyone said was due to accidental death, Conan believed more in murder. Conan really didn't believe that there were so many coincidences in this world. Well, if Conan knew where he would die in the future, and who would die, it is estimated that Conan would die. Will not think so. How many times? Who knows, maybe a dozen times, maybe dozens of times, maybe hundreds of times, maybe thousands of times. Yizan said casually. Conan looked at Yizan and frowned in discomfort. Conan had never encountered such a troublesome existence as Yizan, like a loach slipping away, and he couldn't ask anything of value at all. Then, is this why it's called Death's Invitation? Compared to Conan's doubts, Shaolin looked at Yizan very curiously and said. Yizan said lightly, maybe. Yizan's indifference soon affected Shaolin and Conan, which made both of them, who were a little terrified, calm down. Okay, since there's nothing left, don't think about it, come on, have some snacks and drinks, enjoy life, what are you thinking about? Yizan looked at Shaolin and Conan and said slowly. It didn't take long for Shaolin and Conan to leave. Not long after they left, the figure of number 18 next to Yizan slowly appeared. Is it really good for you to tell Conan everything? Number 18 looked at Yizan and said. Yizan took number 18 into his arms, rubbed number 18's body with both hands recklessly, looked at Yuhi's pretty face on number 18 and said, this matter is not a big deal, Conan's fate the operation is the most complicated, and it is just right for my practice. If I tell Conan this, it will make Conan pay more attention to this matter, and the blood and white flowers we deliberately make will make Conan's fate more complicated. In the midst of complexity, because of the reason of our blood Yuhi, the operation of those fates is easier for us to parse out. Quote. Yizan's words caused number 18 to yawn a lot, wrap it around Yizan's waist lazily, and look at Yizan and said, it doesn't matter, these things are not big things anyway. Yizan looked at number 18, smiled slightly, and squeezed number 18's ass with both hands, preparing to punish number 18 tonight. On the other hand, Conan and Shaolin were watching TV together, discussing the news about the bloody white flower from Yizan before. The other sure flower? Maori Kogoro asked strangely, looking at the two of them. Shaolin looked at Conan and Mori Kogoro, and slowly said the information she had checked on the computer before. Well, yes, the other side of the flower. It is said that the other side of the flower is a flower that grows in hell, a flower that has witnessed life and death. Quote. Shaolin's words made Maori Kogoro's hair stand up straight. Then, the one before, was told by the police officer Mumu that it was the flower on the other side of the blood and white. We went to Yizan's place. I asked Yizan. Yizan said that this matter has actually happened, but it was blocked by the police, so we didn't know about it. Shaolin said while looking at Maori Kogoro. Well, Shaolin's words made Mori Kogoro feel even more terrifying. And in the fear of everyone, a news on TV attracted everyone's attention. More than 15,000 gold coins were stolen by the thieves, and they have not been recovered. And this news was also seen by Yi Xuan on the 18th. Gold coins. Yizan narrowed his eyes slightly. No. 18 lay lazily in Yizan's arms and looked at Yizan. What? Do you want it? Yizan nodded. It's stolen goods anyway, and 15,000 gold coins are considered a lot of money. However, we don't know where the 15,000 gold coins are. Number 18 looked at Yizan and said slowly. Fate will tell us. Yizan took number 18 and left slowly. The 15,000 gold coins, you can sell them. Don't let people know that they have anything to do with us. Yizan's words made number 18 nodded. Don't worry, this matter is very simple. Chapter 9_ Blow up the Shinkansen. Soon, Yizan and number 18 came to the hiding place of the 15,000 gold coins. Very good. Yizan looked at the 15,000 gold coins hanging on it, and said to number 18, I'll give it to you. Okay, leave it to me. Number 18 nodded. By the way, in the future, you can also solve it together, that is, Conan and the police. Yizan's words made number 18 nodded. Don't worry, just fool around. Yizan waved his hand. It doesn't matter, I am very relieved to leave this kind of thing to you. Yizan said something, but he didn't care about it. He left the place, and it looked like he was going home. No, 18 took a look, and those who were familiar with the road began to deal with these things. When number 18 first came to this world, in order to carry out primitive capital accumulation, it can be said that he would do anything by means of unscrupulous means. I don't know how much of this kind of improperly sourced property has been disposed of, and now it is more suitable to be handled with ease. Not long after, Conan and others came to this place. After confronting those robbers, a flower on the other side slowly fell before everyone knew it. Those gold coins were transferred unknowingly. 780 in the end, many robbers died in front of the police. The snow-white other side flowers were quickly dyed Yuhi, and those gold coins disappeared. Blood and white flowers. Conan looked at all this in surprise, and said in horror. On the other hand, Yizan looked at the gold coin in his hand with a slight smile on the corner of his mouth. Conan, the trajectory of fate is getting more and more complicated and interesting. It's really fun. Yizan's words made number 18 sit in Yizan's arms. You care about that Conan so much. 18 with a pouted mouth, and said with a smile, you still eat a little boy's vinegar. It's so fun. Well, who cares about a little boy? Yizan really didn't expect number 18 to have such an idea. Number 18 is not at ease because of his lust, which is really fun. Well, why don't I get a few girls, the heart of an N.S. number 18 girl? Yizan said without feeling that he was greedy enough. Yizan said a little boringly. And for the next period of time, Yizan has been accompanying number 18, all kinds of jokes. Time flies. After finally satisfying number 18, Yizan looked at number 18, who was full of Yuhi's spring love, and shook his head slightly. Just when Yizan was about to say something, Yizan suddenly looked into the distance with a feeling. What's wrong? Yizan's reaction made number 18 feel a little strange, and he came to Yizan's side and asked. Yizan's eyes slowly widened, and a strange smile suddenly appeared on the corner of his mouth, looking at number 18. Number 18, this time, there is a very interesting thing. I am going to change my fate and try it out. Let's see, can this so-called fate be changed? Yizan's words made number 18 look at Yizan in surprise. Every time Yizan makes use of his fate, the 18th has a pleasing feeling, because no matter what he does, there will be all kinds of coincidences to promote Yizan's purpose. It feels as if the whole world is helping Yizan. Generally looks very strange and powerful. What action is this time? Number 18 asked in surprise. Blow up the Shinkansen, what do you think? Yizan said to number 18. Break up, Shinkansen. The 18th also looked at Yizan in surprise. Is it really good to play so much? The police won't come to the door, right? If we are known, our identity will definitely be useless. The words on the 18th brought a smile to Yizan's mouth. Don't you always dislike the plain life? This time, it's not plain. Yizan's words made number 18 nodded excitedly. Okay, let's blast the Shinkansen. Yizan stopped number 18 feet's action. Don't worry, just wait slowly, let the bloody white flowers go out first. Yi Xuanfang said lightly. And with Yizan's words, time passed slowly, the Shinkansen slowly passed, and Conan, Shaolin and others also came to the Shinkansen. Next, as the train moved, a very strange thing happened. Ah! What a beautiful flower! It's here too. Look there. After a while, various places on the whole train slowly bloomed a kind of beautiful flower. There will be flowers on the train. It's weird. Everyone looked at the strange sight in amazement. This is far beyond common sense. How can flowers grow so fast? Moreover, it still grows on the train. You must know that the train is mainly made of steel. As for the soil and water necessary for the growth of flowers, there is almost no soil and water. However, these flowers are all blooming on the train, and the flowers blooming on the whole train are so delicate and beautiful. If they are seen by unknowing people, they will definitely think that they are carefully cared for. However, compared to the surprise and curiosity on the entire train, Conan, Shaolin and the others are terrified, frightened, scared, worried. The shadow of death shrouded Conan and others, although Conan and others did not find anything that could cause death, but this is definitely the flower of the other side of the blood and white. Conan and Shaolin looked at each other with absolute certainty. Conan, we're going to die, right? Shaolin's eyes had a hint of gray despair. Conan opened his mouth, but didn't say anything in the end. Conan really didn't have the confidence to protect himself and Shaolin in such a strange situation. Why is the train full of other flowers? Are we going to die? Why? When Conan was almost in despair, not far away, the conversation of two strangers came into Conan's ears. Conan was shocked and finally understood why so many blood and white flowers were blooming on the whole train. Bomb! Someone is going to blow up the Shinkansen. Conan was surprised to think of it, and at the same time, he was also very happy and relaxed, because Conan finally knew why he and others died, and Conan was confident to stop the explosion. Chapter 10 _ A coin. After all, compared to the mysterious blood and white other side flower, this elimination bomb is more handy for Conan. Time passed slowly. Conan quickly looked for the location of the bomb, but compared to his previous investigations and actions, this time Conan always felt that the whole world was against him, and he didn't know why. However, even so, Conan, relying on his own wit, quickly locked his eyes on a few people. But Conan looked at the many snow-like flowers on the other side, which were very beautiful and gorgeous, and had already bloomed to the ultimate, but when Conan saw this, he was even more surprised and frightened. For Conan, who has seen the strange other side of the flower with his own eyes, this is really a death god who wants his life too much. Damn, where is it? Conan yelled. As time went by, Conan became more and more anxious. Conan still didn't know Akatsuki where the bomb was, but those other flowers were completely in full bloom, which were exactly the same as the blood yuhi that Conan had seen before. Only missing the color. No, Conan looked around quickly, but in the end he still didn't know which of these people was hiding the bomb. No, for safety, I can only forcibly open their boxes to see. Conan said quickly, and began to open several people's boxes in various ways. As time passed, Conan quickly opened many boxes one by one, so that everyone in the car noticed the existence of Conan, and his face was full of disgust. And these people who looked at Conan with disgust did not know. With Conan's search, the other side flowers at the front of the entire Shinkansen train began to wither slowly. Ah, withered. The flowers are withered. Everyone watched as the numerous other flowers withered at a speed visible to the naked eye, and then disappeared. Many people unanimously stretched their hands to the places where the other sure flowers grew, but there was no difference in those places. Everyone's faces were full of surprise. These other sure flowers were like the hallucinations of everyone. They came strangely and went very strangely. However, Xiaolan, who knew the inside story, was slightly relieved in her heart. Then, her curiosity arose, and she quickly walked towards the rear compartment with Maori. While walking around, the two discovered a strange thing, that is, the farther they went to the back of the carriage, the lesser the flowers on the other side of the carriage withered, or even did not wither at all. Strange, what's going on with these flowers? Maori looked around strangely and said dumbly. And Xiaolan, who knew all this, didn't have time to explain to Maori, and quickly came to the most prosperous carriage where the flowers on the other side were blooming. Xiaolan, Maori and Conan didn't know, when they were doing this. Yizan was holding the tall and soft body of number 18, and looked at the other side flowers on the train on the Shinkansen that kept going forward. Ah, it's actually withered by half. Number 18 said to Yizan. Yizan narrowed his eyes slightly. Should I say, is it really Conan? Yizan said, and yawned slightly. Well, this time, I'll give it a try. Shoot. Number 18 looked at Yizan strangely, not knowing what Yizan's words meant. Could it be that Yizan wanted to destroy the train with his own hands? And then, one of Yizan's actions made number 18 completely confused. In between, Yizan casually tossed a coin. Ah, number 18 looked at Yizan strangely. Yizan looked at number 18's confused look and evoked a smile. Don't understand. 18 nodded. Yizan said to number 18, then follow this coin and you will know what's going on. Following Yizan's words, number 18 hurriedly followed the coin with perception. Soon, the coin fell to the ground and was picked up by passers-by after a while. The passerby picked up a coin and caused a glass ball in his pocket to slip. The slipped glass ball directly caused a child who accidentally stepped on the glass ball to slip, and the child who slipped hit the drying rack. The clothes on the drying rack that hit it were blown by a gust of wind and flew high into the distance. And this dress fluttered, and finally went to the Shinkansen train. At this time, in the train, in the disgust of everyone, when Conan's behavior was about to be stopped, Shaolin and Mori also followed Conan to this carriage. Conan, what the hell are you doing? Shaolin and Mori yelled at Conan, ready to take Conan away. No, Conan yelled at the two of them, there's a bomb in this compartment. Shocked, everyone in the car looked at Conan in shock, and then they laughed, obviously not believing what Conan said. And Mowgli also said to Conan, okay, Conan, don't talk nonsense. I'm not talking nonsense. Following Conan's loud cry, Shaolin suddenly pursed the corners of her mouth. I believe in you, Conan. You believe me? Conan exclaimed in surprise. Shaolin looked at Mowgli and Conan and said, well, I believe in you. Shaolin said to Conan, the other side flowers of the whole train withered from the front of the train, but the withering became less and less as you went to the back, and it spread to this carriage. Not only did the other side flowers in this carriage not wither, they seemed to be more beautiful. Shaolin's words made Conan's eyes widen instantly and said to Shaolin, so. You're right, there is indeed a bomb. Little Lan didn't know that after she came to this carriage, the withered flowers on the other side of the original train bloomed again quickly, and they seemed to bloom even more beautifully. At this time, Conan looked at the only box that had not been checked by himself, and said anxiously, come on, let me see your box. Chapter 11_God's Will in the Dark. Conan looked at the only box that had not been checked by himself, and said anxiously, come on, let me see your box. The owner of the box, a young and beautiful woman, said disdainfully to Conan, Che, just based on your words, I need to check the box for you. As the woman spoke, she turned her body away, ignoring Conan's words. The rest of the people looked at the anxious Conan and Shaolin, not knowing who to listen to. At this time, the other side is the front of the car. Numerous beautiful others flowers have spread to the carriage where Conan and Shaolin are located, but because many of the others flowers in this carriage are very delicate, no one feels it. However, compared to the dullness of everyone, Number 18 noticed that many other flowers have bloomed to ultimate. And Number 18 knows that, generally speaking, at this time, the other side of the flower is already the limit, and soon, the other side of the flower should turn bloody. How? Number 18 looked at Yizan and asked. Well, it's already doomed. Yizan looked at the galloping train and said slowly, as I said before, the shorter the fate, the less can be changed, and the fate line of these people, now that it's short to ultimate, there's no room for change at all. Yizan said, glanced at the clothes blowing in the wind, and slowly shook his head. When Yizan said this, the situation in the carriage showed a different situation. You'd better show them your suitcases, make them give up, and then take them to the police station. After a long time of messing around, everyone finally got bored with Conan and Shaolin, and said to the owner of the last box. The woman was holding the box, turned her head away, and ignored the crowd. Your box doesn't really have a bomb, right? At this time, the few people who had been turned over by Conan before were a little unbalanced, and said to the woman in the box. Humph. The woman snorted, but said nothing. At this time, Shaolin and Conan looked at each other, nodded, and decided to forcibly open the woman's box. Seeing this, Mowgli could only help a little helplessly. Then, it's really a bomb. Everyone looked in horror at the box that had been opened by Conan and Shaolin in the woman's hand. Inside, a bomb lay quietly, and the beating numbers and beeps made everyone knows that the bomb is already activated. Throw it away, the crowd shouted. Conan also quickly threw the bomb out. However, at this time, in the sky, the fluttering clothes were so dead that they blocked the window where the bomb was thrown. Seeing this, Yizan said to number 18 next to him, to see the fireworks, the sound is probably a bit loud, so you need to cover your ears. Yizan said, plugging his ears, and number 18 blocked his ears in a similar way. At the moment when the two blocked their ears, boom! A loud explosion sounded. The whole train explode. The raging fire quickly spread to the entire train. In the raging fire, many other flowers seem to have been nourished, and they are more delicate and dazzling. The dazzling other flowers are reborn in the fire, and slowly fall. Every other side flower floats to a person in a train. The blood spread, and many blood continued to infect the other side flower, and the snow-white other side flower quickly died. Yuhi. Yizan watched the snow-white other side flower slowly change into Yuhi, and for some reason, he suddenly sighed with sadness. Heaven and earth are not benevolent and regard all things as cud dogs. Fate is really ruthless. Yizan looked at all this and said slowly. Looking at Yizan on the 18th, he said strangely, "Isn't this your masterpiece, husband? How come you blame it on fate?" Yizan said slowly, "Everything is balanced, there is life and death. Originally, everyone in this train really didn't need to die, but they couldn't live for long. These things have their own will." Yizan's words made number 18 a little strange. "Is it really like this?" Yizan nodded. "Except for Conan, Morilan and Maori Kogoro, most people will not escape this disaster." Yizan's words made number 18 look at Yizan suspiciously. "I don't believe it." Yizan looked at number 18 and smiled dotingly. If you want to see it, you want to see it, don't provoke me, don't believe it." Yizan's words made number 18 smile, but he tacitly agreed with Yizan's words. And with the default of number 18. In the train full of flames, some of the other flowers infested with blood rapidly withered. Escape! Escape! Conan, Shaolin, and Mori Kogoro took a few people and survived strangely in the center of the explosion, and escaped from the carriage. Among them, one is a man in glasses who has checked the stock exchange of the box, and the other is a woman who was finally turned over by Conan, who also survived, lucky, and two Conan informed that there was a bomb after first knowing that there was a bomb. The bomb was ignored by the two marshals, and finally the two people who were excluded by Conan turned over the box, an old man and a strong man from the underworld. These people all have more or less connections with Conan, because Conan has the most intertwined lines of fate. It is the easiest and most fun to save these people, and it can also make number 18 realize the terrible fate of fate. 3.8. Huchi-huchi. Everyone who escaped was breathing the fresh air, and looked at the flaming train in front of them in amazement. They couldn't believe it all. In the end, everyone who reacted turned their attention to Conan and the woman. "Conan, how did you know there was a bomb?" Shaolan looked at Conan strangely and asked. "I heard what the two men in black said, but the two men in black have already got out of the car." Conan gasped heavily. Among the crowd, except for the old man, it was Conan because he was a child. Worst. After hearing Conan's explanation, the two marshals looked at each other, filled with incomparable remorse, regretting that they did not obey Conan's words. Chapter 12_Dead Person. The rest of the people all turned their attention to the woman who was carrying the bomb. "Say, why are you doing this? What's the use of talking to a ruthless person like her? Kill her directly." Everyone was very angry. Conan shook his head. "No, she didn't know there was a bomb in her box." Conan's words made everyone look at Conan. Because of Conan's performance before, everyone is now very convinced of Conan's words. And the woman seemed to be reacting only now, and suddenly shouted, "It's not me, it's not me. Well, I know it's not you, please calm down." Conan covered his head and shook his head, as if he was disturbed by a woman. "Shut up, stop screaming." The underworld man came directly to the woman and yelled at the woman. The woman was startled immediately. Then everyone's eyes were focused on Conan. At this time, Conan looked at the old man who survived. "You will die." The old man was a little deaf, and looked at Conan for unknown reasons, not knowing what Conan said. Shaolin looked at the old man's head in surprise, covered her mouth in horror, and pointed to the top of the old man's head. At this time, everyone also saw the top of the old man's head. In the snow-white hair of the old man, a beautiful and beautiful other side flower was blooming, and that other side flower was black. Ah! At this time, Conan, who had been covering his head all the time, suddenly woke up and looked at the flower on the other side of the old man's head. Death is angry. Conan's behavior also attracted everyone's attention, and they all looked at Conan. You said he will die. What death god is angry? Conan covered his head strangely and frowned. Did I speak? Shaolin looked at Conan in surprise and said, you just pointed at the old man and said he would die. Shaolin's words made Conan shake his head. Is that so? I have no impression. While Conan was shaking his head, he suddenly saw the black flower of the other side that the old man had taken from his hair out of the corner of his eye, and exclaimed in an instant, the flower of the other side. Is it black? Shaolin also smiled bitterly and said, yeah, so, if you don't tell me, I also know that he will die. Shaolin's words made everyone look at Shaolin in surprise. Who the hell are you? Why are you alarmist here? The security's glasses man yelled at Shaolin and Conan. Shaolin and Conan looked at each other. Go find Yi Zan, Shaolin said. Who is Yi Zan? Mao Li suddenly leaned in front of Shaolin. Since just now, you and Conan have been very wrong. What do you know? While the crowd speaks. Do. The piercing siren was approaching rapidly. Soon, Conan and others were discovered by the police. Are you all right? The person who came was the police officer Mumu, and when he came up, he saw Mori Kogoro, Conan and Shaolin who he knew. It's okay. Kogoro Mori shook his head and said. Following the words of Kogoro Mori, Officer Meguro also began to learn about the only survivors of the incident, Kogoro Mori. Then, Officer Miu Miu turned his attention to the woman in the crowd. Is it the bomb you brought? Officer Mumu said to the woman. The woman nodded blankly. But, I didn't know there was a bomb in it. Following the woman's words, Miu Miu looked at everyone strangely. Do you know what's going on inside? Mori Kogoro looked at Conan and said to Officer Mumu, this is actually what Conan discovered. Conan. Miu Miu looked at Conan and said, what's going on? Conan explained everything he had experienced to Officer Mumu in a very methodical manner. Blood white flower. Officer Miu Miu looked at all of this in surprise, and said in shock, there is actually a bloody white flower. Yes, and, Conan pointed to the old man among the crowd, who was holding a black flower of the other side in his hand. Is that, blood and white flower? Officer Mumu asked in surprise as he looked at Conan. Shaolin shook her head. I don't know. Conan said to the police officer Mumu, so, we are going to ask about the blood and white flowers. Ask about the blood and white flower. Officer Miu Miu looked at Shaolin in surprise. Who to ask? Who knows the blood and white flower? Yi Zan, Shaolin said, turning around slowly and heading in the other direction. Yi Zan, Officer Miu Miu said in surprise. Then they quickly followed Shaolin, and behind them, Conan and others hurried towards where Shaolin went. An hour later, everyone came to the place where Yi Zan lived. Wow, what a luxurious place. Everyone looked at the mansion where Yi Zan and others were in shock, and said in surprise. At this time, Yi Zan followed Shaolin's voice and came to the door. Huh. As soon as he came to the door, Yi Zan pretended to be very strange and looked at Shaolin and the others. Dead people, Yi Zan said while looking at the crowd. Dead people. Everyone looked at Yi Zan in surprise, wondering what Yi Zan meant. Officer Miu Miu also looked at Yi Zan. What is a dead person? Yi Zan looked at Officer Mumu and said slowly, as you understand, it is someone who has died. But they are still alive. Conan looked at Yi Zan and said slowly. Death is not far away. Yi Zan looked at the old man at the back of the crowd and said, look, isn't he holding a certificate? The black other side flower. What does the black other side flower mean? Officer Miu Miu hurriedly asked Yi Zan. Angry god of death, Yi Zan said casually. And following Yi Zan's words, everyone unanimously turned their attention to Conan. Just now, Conan also said something similar to Yi Zan. After saying that the old man would die, he also said, "Death is angry." Chapter 13_Shudder. The eyes of everyone made Conan feel even more strange. He blinked a few times in confusion and asked again, "What's wrong? Why are you all looking at me?" Shaolin said to Conan, "Just now you said that the headless death god was angry." "What?" Shaolin's words made Yizan's eyes suddenly widen, and a gleam of light flashed in his pupils. Yizan really didn't expect Conan to say such a sentence. "Ah, is there? Did I say it? Why don't I remember?" Conan said strangely. "You really said it." Shaolin nodded, while the rest of the people didn't continue with this question, but looked at Yizan. The securities glasses man shouted directly at Yizan, "Hey, what the hell is going on with the anger of the god of death?" Yizan glanced at the rest of the crowd, didn't speak, turned his head and left. "This is your attitude of begging for help. Go away. You are not welcome here," Yizan said, turned and left. The door of the mansion closed directly, keeping everyone out. This time, everyone looked at the securities-eyed man who spoke just now. "What are you doing? HMPH, what is the wrath of the god of death? What is immortal? We escaped without any problems at all," the securities glasses man said, and turned around and was about to leave. However, when the securities glasses man left, "Ah, are you going to leave? You can leave," the old man said, turning around slowly, preparing to leave. At the moment when the old man left, a car passed by the old man's side, and the tire just hit a stone on the side of the road, causing the stone to roll under the old man's feet. Puff! Everyone looked at the old man in astonishment, and their eyes widened in horror. After a while, "Ah!" Everyone present screamed in horror. The old man died in front of everyone. Just now, everyone witnessed with their own eyes that the old man stepped on the falling stone and fell to the ground, and he was hit by the stairs and died on the spot. What terrified everyone the most was that the black flower in the old man's hand, after the old man died and was contaminated with the old man's blood, turned into a yuhi color at a speed visible to the naked eye, a bloody yuhi color, like the devil's smile is general, making everyone extremely frightened. What the hell is going on here? Everyone instantly felt their hair stand on end. Watching all this in horror, they couldn't believe it. You know, the yuhi color can be continuously overlapped to be dyed black, but black is dyed yuhi color. How awkward is this? And the next thing made everyone even more frightened, and felt a chill on the soles of their feet. Because, "Ah!" The securities glasses man looked in horror at the black flower that appeared on his shoulders at some point, and instantly collapsed to the ground. Terrified, sluggish, unbelievable. The man with securities glasses hurriedly discarded the black other side flowers on his shoulders, and quickly stepped on it with his own feet, until the black side flowers became muddy, and then he exhaled heavily. Then, looking at the black other side flower that had been trampled into mud in front of him, he laughed wildly. "Did you see it? Did you see it?" The securities glasses man said frantically and paranoid. "What is the wrath of the god of death? What is death? Have you seen it? I've smashed it all to pieces." However, what surprised the man with securities glasses was that not only did the people in front of him not look surprised, on the contrary, everyone had a terrifying look on their faces, and they all looked at him in horror. "No, no, no, look at yourself, but look at yourself, the top of your head." The man with securities glasses looked up, but the sky was empty. "What's the matter with you?" the securities glasses man asked suspiciously, looking at everyone present. Everyone pointed to the top of the head of the man with securities glasses. "On your head." Everyone's words made the securities glasses man touch the top of his head strangely, and quickly tore off a black flower on the other side. "Damn it, damn it. What is this?" The securities glasses man quickly stepped on the black other side flower under his feet and stepped on it with all his might. Naturally, that charming other side flower couldn't stand the trampling of a man with securities glasses, and it didn't take long for it to turn into black flower mud again. It's useless. At this time, Officer Mumu spoke. If it is really the other side flower, it can't be destroyed at all. The blood white other side flower, we have used various methods, but we can't take that other side flower from that person. Following the words of the police officer Mumu, the man with security's glasses had already inserted a black flower in his heart, like a demon, slowly surrounding the man with security's glasses who was already extremely frightened. In horror, the man with security's glasses put his gaze on the tightly closed door of the mansion. Boom blah blah. The man with security's glasses knocked on the door vigorously. Open the door, please, open the door. The man with security's glasses was terrified and frightened, but the door of the mansion was like a closed door to survival, and the man with security's glasses was tightly outside the door. After knocking for a while, the security's glasses man finally gave up and turned to look at Conan and Shaolin. Please, please, save me, save me. The security's glasses man shouted in horror. After Conan and Shaolin looked at each other, they could only come to the door. Tuk tuk tuk. Yizan. Following the words of the two, Yizan's lazy words came from the door. Let's go, you escaped death, but you angered the god of death. How could death be played with at will? Yizan's voice came from the door. But, Shaolin shouted, what about me? I'm also the one who escaped death. Yizan said slowly, you can rest assured, don't worry. Chapter 14_Philosophy is not a magician. Yizan's words surprised Shaolin. Could it be that I? Well, you're not on the dead list, don't worry. Yizan's lazy words made Shaolin's mouth twitch in surprise. From the time she knew all this, Shaolin had always been afraid. Until now, Shaolin slowly relaxed. It turned out that, you don't have to die. What? Why? Everyone looked at Shaolin and said angrily, why doesn't she have to die? Not only her, but also Conan and Mori Kogoro don't have to die. Yizan said slowly. Why don't you two have to die? Tell us what's going on. How to escape death. The rest of the crowd quickly surrounded Conan and Shaolin and threatened the road. When Conan and Shaolin panicked, Yizan's voice came, and there was a hint of sarcasm in that calm voice. Humans are always greedy. Huh. After hearing Yizan's words, everyone turned their attention to the gate 630. You were originally supposed to be buried in that huge explosion like the Shinkansen, but, thanks to the light of Conan and Shaolin, you were lucky enough to escape in the hands of the god of death. Still not satisfied, Yizan slowly said. Yizan's words made everyone silent. After a while, the gangster man quickly came to Yizan. Please, save me. As long as you can save me, I will give you whatever you want. Yes yes yes. After hearing the words of the gangster man, the rest of the people came to the gate and quickly told Yizan about various conditions and temptations. However, no words came out of the door. After a while, the gangster man finally couldn't bear it anymore, turned around, looked at the man with security's glasses who had been frightened, and said grimly, kill you, as long as you kill you, the people inside will get angry. If it's gone, then maybe it will save us. The gangster man said that he was about to shoot at the security's-eyed man. Wait, what are you doing? Officer Mew Mew directly blocked the gangster man. What am I doing? Of course I want to kill him. The gangster man forced his preparations to pass the police officer. Officer Mew Mew blocked the gangster man again. Do you want to be a murderer? A murderer is a murderer. The gangster man yelled at the police officer Mumu. Anyway, I will die sooner or later. Following the words of the gangster man ignored the forced obstruction of the police officer Mumu and went directly to the man with security's glasses. Officer Mumu blocked again, but in this block, something different appeared. During the dispute between the two, the man with security's glasses slowly took a step back. Wait, don't. Conan hurriedly wanted to stop the security's glasses man from continuing, but... Bang! A steel rod that came from nowhere pierced straight from the top of the glasses man's head, directly stabbing the security's glasses man to death. The black other side flower slowly fell into the blood pool of the security's glasses man. The black other side flower slowly turned into Yuhi color. Ah! With a terrified scream, everyone looked around in shock. What the hell is going on here? Xiaolin felt like she was going crazy. It's very simple, they should have been dead people, and now it's just because the god of death came to collect debts. Fate is not so easy to reverse. Yizan's words made Xiaolan come directly to Yizan's door. Can you really not open the door? Of course. Yizan agreed very neatly. However, I need you to promise me one thing. Yizan said. Without waiting for Xiaolan to ask what was the matter, the door opened directly. The moment the door opened, Xiaolan and the others rushed in quickly. After everyone entered Yizan's mansion, they saw Yizan leisurely lying on the sofa with a beautiful woman in her arms. After everyone entered, they glanced at everyone, and then she was charming looking at Yi Xuandao. What are you doing with these dead people? It will pollute the air. Okay, on the 18th, you can go first. Yizan's words made the woman nod her head. Okay, it's up to you. The woman said, glanced at Xiaolan and the woman in the crowd, pouted, and left. Conan, on the other hand, looked at number 18 strangely and blinked. Number 18. Conan is very strange for the name of number 18. Yizan glanced at Conan, but said nothing. And Conan was about to ask something. A marshal quickly came to Yizan, holding a black other-side flower in his hand. Help me, save me, please. Yizan glanced at the marshals and waved his hand. Go, stay away from me, don't accidentally drag me into it. Involved. Another marshal looked at Yizan strangely. Yizan said, of course, at the time of death, if you are not careful, it would be bad to involve me too. Yizan's words made the police officer Miu Miu, who had never seen Yizan before, come to Yizan. Well, is there really a god of death in this world? Are they really killed by the god of death? Officer Miu Miu's words made everyone shudder, and then they all looked at Yizan. Yizan pondered. How do you say it? Of course there is no god of death in this world. Yizan's words made everyone look at each other in surprise. Did you hear that? No death. Yeah. The rest of the people looked at each other in surprise. However, what Yizan said next made everyone's excited heart instantly drop to freezing point. However, although there is no death, there is indeed destiny. Fate. Everyone looked at Yizan in surprise. Chapter 15 _ Conan looking confused. Everyone has a destiny. The interweaving of destiny between people and things has led to the development and operation of this world. Yizan said slowly, but the words in it made everyone a little stunned. The fate of metaphysical philosophy really makes everyone a little strange. However, what do these things of us have to do with fate? The surviving woman looked at Yizan and asked strangely. Actually, rather than being targeted by the god of death, you are more likely to be excluded by fate. Yizan said slowly. Following Yizan's words, Xiaolan also looked at Yizan strangely. What the hell is going on? Well, Yizan covered his head. How do you say it? You all look like you are being targeted by the god of death, but in fact, there is no god of death in this world. As I said before, people and things are all connected by invisible fate lines, and the intertwined fate lines combine to form the basic operation of this world. Quote. Yizan's words made Conan blink. Destiny, does it really exist? Yizan nodded, pointed at the marshal holding the black flower on the other side, and said, if you don't believe it, the next thing will prove that you should actually be dead people, so fate has excluded you from this. In addition to the operation of the world, but for some reason, you luckily did not die. However, you have been excluded by fate before, and now you want to forcefully enter fate because of your survival, and you will naturally be rejected by fate. In order to continue to function normally, fate will naturally exclude you, and the method of exclusion is naturally the simplest, death. Quote. Yizan said so much, and paused for a while to let everyone understand a little. Then everyone looked at each other, and finally focused on Yizan's body. Then how can we avoid death? It's very simple. Yizan's mouth evoked a playful smile. In the eyes of everyone looking forward to it, he slowly said. The solution is, seek more happiness. Yizan's words made everyone stunned, and then they were all a little stunned and said in surprise, seeking more happiness. Yizan said with a slight smile, yes, seek more blessings from yourself, and work hard to go to places that are not so dangerous. Yizan said, pointed to the marshal holding the black other side flower and said, have you seen that it is a typical negative teaching material, the chandelier above the head, the knives next to it, etc., etc. There are dangerous things everywhere, it's easy to be killed, okay. Following Yizan's words, Yizan dodged and avoided a glass shard that came from nowhere. Be careful. The crowd shouted. And with the loud shouts of everyone, the marshal with the black other side flower quickly avoided the glass shard. HMPH, I'm a police officer. Such a danger is easy for me to avoid. Halfway through, the marshal lowered his head blankly, looking at his chest. A knife stabbed the marshal directly in the heart. The marshal, death. Everyone was stunned to see the other side flower that slowly turned into Yuhi next to the marshal. At this moment, everyone was so heartbroken. After the marshal's death, the gangster man looked at the black flower that appeared in his hands at some point. Alas, it's your turn. If I were you, I would quickly find a very safe place and wait. Halfway through Yizan's words, he was suddenly interrupted by the gangster man. I won't wait to die. The gangster man's eyes widened instantly, looking at Yi Xuandao. You must know how to escape death. Yizan propped his chin and nodded casually. So what? The gangster man looked at Yizan's casual look, quickly grabbed the knife on the table, came behind Yizan, and put the knife directly on Yizan's neck. Did you just say that? If we die by your side, you may die too. Hurry up, tell me how to avoid death. The gangster man yelled at Yizan. Yizan looked at the knife on his neck calmly and sighed. Alas, I said the best way is to find a very safe place to hide, but unfortunately, you are really courting death, do you know? There is such a person, whose fate line is extremely complex and complicated, and its operation is obscure and difficult to understand. What about this kind of person? I usually call it the Son of Destiny, and once this kind of person encounters danger, the whole world the fate line will run, and unfortunately, just such a person. Yizan looked at the knife and said slowly, so, you should be dead, right? Yizan said, and slowly took the knife from his neck away. What made Conan and others strange was that the underworld man behind Yizan did not respond. After Yizan left. Puff. The gangster man directly clutched his heart, fell to the ground, his eyes widened, and he died silently in such a short period of time. Officer Mew Mew quickly came to the gangster man and started to check. After a while, he looked at Yizan in shock and said, he, dead. Yeah, I've said it long ago, some people have complicated and obscure fate lines, and they are the children of destiny. When the lives of these people are threatened, the impact will be huge. Yizan looked at Police Officer Mumu and said, why? Have you seen the cause of death? Officer Mew Mew looked at Yizan suspiciously, and said paradoxically, he died of a heart attack. Look at his other side flowers. Conan suddenly pointed to the other side of the gang member, and said in surprise. And everyone looked at the other side flower in amazement, the other side flower that should have been dyed from black to Yuhi color, withered. Everyone looked at the other side flower beside the gangster man, and then put their eyes on Yizan. Alas, the fate line was forcibly torn. Yi Xuanfang said calmly. Chapter 16 _ Give me a bargaining chip. Alas, the fate line was forcibly torn. Yi Xuanfang said calmly. It's not a heart attack. Officer Mumu looked at Yizan strangely. Yizan yawned loudly and said, yes, in my opinion, this is not a heart attack. Heart disease is just a way of his death, and the essence of his death is the consequences of threatening the life of the Son of Destiny. Everyone looked at Yizan suspiciously. Yizan looked at everyone's puzzled look, covered his forehead and said, well, to put it bluntly, this is the difference between stealing and robbery. The few people who died before were secretly made up for their mistakes by fate. And the gangster man who dealt with me died because he violated the taboo of fate and was forcibly seized by the fate line. Yizan's words made everyone look at the dead gangster man, only to feel his throat dry, and a nameless fear hit his heart. Is this the reason why that black other side flower is committed to withering? Conan asked while looking at Yizan. Conan didn't know why in front of Yizan. He suddenly felt a little different, but Conan couldn't tell what was different, but there was one thing Conan was very sure of, that he inexplicably hated the man in front of him. Yes, Yizan said slowly, this other side flower is actually the embodiment of destiny. Yizan said slowly, the words were calm and cold, but Yizan still didn't tell everyone a word. That is, the most important reason for the emergence of this other side flower is because of himself. Because of his own involvement in the operation of fate. After fate changed, Yizan embodied a part of the operation of fate, represented by the legendary other side flower that grew at the junction of hell and reality, and then observed the operation of fate. And when Conan was about to continue to ask something, the woman suddenly came to Yizan. Please save me, please. Yizan looked at the black other side flower in the woman's hand and said, okay, of course you can let me save you, but what about the reward? Yizan stretched out his hand and said directly to the woman. The woman said quickly, I have money, I can give you money, give you a lot of money. The woman's words made Yizan wave his hand slightly. I have no interest in money, do you think I am short of money? Yizan's words made everyone look around. Yes, can someone who can afford such a luxurious villa be someone who is short of money? I can accompany you, the woman said to Yizan as soon as she bit Kiba. Yizan yawned loudly. Number 18. Quote. Come on, what's the matter? Number 18 came to Yizan enchantingly, sat in Yizan's arms, and said slowly. Yizan looked at the woman who was already ashamed and said, so, your body is not worthy of my nostalgia. Besides, your body is no longer clean. I have a mental cleanliness, and I really don't have much interest in you. Yizan's words made the woman pursed her lips tightly and lowered her head. Then what exactly do you want? Yizan ignored the woman's words, and instead patted number 18 feet's ass. Go, deal with those dead people. No, 18 looked at Yizan tenderly. I just said, don't let them in, they will dirty the house, you have to believe it. Although number 18 complained, he still got up and prepared to clean up, but his movements were not fast. A pair of beautiful eyes stared at the woman in front of Yizan without blinking. Woman looked a little hairy by number 18 feet's eyes. What are you looking at me for? No, 18 said as it should be. Waiting for your death, my husband asked me to clean up the dead body. You are about to become a dead body, and of course you are also in the ranks. On the 18th, the woman looked at Yizan almost crying. How on earth are you willing to save me? Yizan waved his hand. It's not how I am willing to save you, but if you can come up with a bargaining chip that can make my heart move, I will take action. After all, it is not difficult to say that it is difficult to change fate, but it is simple to say. And it is definitely not simple. Quote. Yizan's words made the woman's head turn rapidly, but the more anxious she was, the less she could think of how to impress Yizan. Don't worry, you can think slowly, but you need to be careful about any deadly objects around you. Yizan's words made the woman get up quickly and look around vigilantly. If there is a slight disturbance, she will rush to recover. When number 18 saw this, he couldn't help but pouted his lips, looked at Yi Xuanzhao and said, Old man Tilda. Yizan smiled shyly, you just have to work hard. Road 18, however, if you remind her like this, she will definitely not die in a short period of time. In the end, when I finish cleaning up, her nerves can't stand it anymore. After she dies, I still need to trouble you. It's really bad fun. Ha ha ha, Yizan smiled, but did not refute anything. After all, he did have some bad tastes. As he deepened his understanding of fate, he became more and more aware of the cruelty and ruthlessness of fate. As the saying goes, all living beings are suffering. All Yizan can do is to be a bystander and watch all beings drifting away in the long river of fate. And now, the only thing Yizan can make himself do is to make himself become more like a person when he realizes the fate of 4.7, rather than like a high god. While the woman was on guard, she said all the things she was proud of, hoping to get Yizan's favor. However, it didn't work. Yizan seemed to have not heard the woman's words, and lay lazily on the sofa. How can you do this? Seeing this, Xiaolan finally couldn't stand it anymore, and said to Yizan, since you can save her, why don't you help to save her? Saving a life is better than building a 7-level pagoda, don't you? You know. Yizan glanced at Xiaolan. Want to save her? Simple, or, if you give me something to impress me, I will save her. Chapter 17 _ Only 1,000 people died. Xiaolan looked at Yizan. How can you do this? On the other hand, number 18 looked at Xiaolan with cold eyes. If you don't know, don't talk nonsense, self-righteous woman, who do you think you are? Pointing fingers here. No. 18 feet's icy voice made Xiaolan purse the corners of her mouth tightly without speaking. The quarrel of the crowd made the woman a little distracted, and she was directly caught in the neck by the hook of the fishing rod leaning against the door, and died on the spot. Ah! Amidst the exclamations of the crowd, the rest of the marshals stared blankly at a black other side flower that fell under their feet, their eyes terrified. Save me, please save me. The marshal said to Yizan. Hey, it seems that the next time, when this kind of thing happens, you shouldn't open the door. Yizan said slowly. And when Yizan said this, Conan couldn't help it and stood in front of Yizan 30. Although, I know that you will pay a great price for saving people, but no matter how great the price is, it will not exceed life. Huh. Conan's words made Yizan lower his head and look at Conan. His originally casual expression became serious, and a mocking smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Originally, I thought you were the son of destiny who was second only to me in the world. I thought you were a very smart person, but now it seems that it is exactly as you said on the 18th. Whether you or Xiaolan, both he is a short-sighted person who is self-righteous and imposes his own views on others. Yizan shook his head slightly. If I had known it earlier, I would not have saved you too. Yizan's words made Conan and Xiaolan look at Yizan in surprise. You saved us. Of course. Number 18 came to the two of them. Otherwise, do you really think you can escape? Although you are both the children of destiny, the children of destiny will also die and be replaced. HMPH, it's really a dog who bites Lu Dongbin and doesn't know it. Good people. Yizan and number 18 and others made the marshal quickly come to Yizan. Please, since you saved them, save me. Yizan looked at the marshal and had to say that the marshal was quite good at judging the situation. Every time he encountered danger, he came directly to Yizan's side, and every time he could save himself from danger. Seeing this, Yizan yawned. Okay, since you said so, then I'll tell you the solution. I remember I said before, because you are dead people, so excluded by fate. Quote. The marshals, Conan and the others all nodded. They remembered Yizan's words very clearly. After all, Yizan's words shocked everyone's worldview. Yizan said slowly, since none of you have come up with a reward that can make my heart move, so this time, I will only tell you how to do it. Okay, if you know how to do it. The marshal looked around, and immediately hid behind Yizan when there was a slight disturbance. I have to say that the approach taken by the marshal was very good. The fate lines on Yizan's body were intertwined and complicated. Naturally, he would not be killed at will by such a danger. The most important thing is that this marshal seemed to be very observant, just hiding by Yizan's side, and did not disturb or contact Yizan. He's really a smart person, Yizan said slowly. Following Yizan's words, Yizan looked at everyone and said, since you are people who have been excluded from fate, if you want to escape death, you need to re-enter the operation of fate. Enter into the running of fate. The marshal looked at Yizan strangely. How to enter? The corner of Yizan's mouth slightly evoked a strange smile. That mysterious smile made everyone feel a little scared. However, What Yizan said next made everyone feel even more horrified. The way to re-enter the operation of destiny is to kill someone, Yizan said with a smile. And Yizan's smile didn't know when it changed from mysterious to warm, but with such warm words, he said such terrifying words, not only did not make people feel at ease, on the contrary, it made people feel even more frightened. Murder. Conan and Shaolin, even the police officer Mumu, who had been on the side and hadn't reacted, felt extremely frightened at this moment. Conan suddenly reacted and looked at Yizan in shock. You mean, you killed 2 people when you were saving us? 2. Number 18 sneered at Conan and Shaolin. Tisk tisk, it's really stupid to a certain level, it's stupid enough to make people laugh. Both Conan and Shaolin looked at number 18 strangely, not knowing what number 18 meant. It's like this. Yizan said slowly. You are already dead. If you want to return to the operation of fate again, you need to kill someone. To be precise, you need to replace them. The fate of others. Isn't that enough to kill one? Conan looked at Yizan and said, that one, said on the 18th. Conan still feels that the title of number 18 is more like the naming of other numbers than a name. Yizan looked at Conan and said indifferently, this is not a business, or anything else, you can exchange 1 or 2 for 1, there are many involved, the most basic one is the fate line, and the fate line on your body has already been consumed. Almost hundreds of lives. Hundreds of lives. Conan and Shaolin both widened their eyes in horror. Yizan nodded. Well, yes, this is only directly involved in the lives, and there are some lives that are not involved. Generally speaking, thousands of lives are easy. Yi Xuanfang said lightly. Gudong. The marshal took a mouthful of saliva. That is to say, the 2 of them survived, and nearly 1,000 people died. Yizan nodded. Well, you can say that. What? Officer Miu Miu yelled at Yizan. You actually killed thousands of people. Chapter 18_lose money. What? Officer Miu Miu yelled at Yizan. You actually killed thousands of people. Yizan looked at Officer Miu Miu and said, how do you say it? Didn't you say you would kill thousands of people to save them? Officer Miu Miu looked at Yizan in amazement. Did I say it? When did I say I killed thousands of people? Yizan looked at Police Officer Mumu and said, although the deaths of thousands of people have something to do with me, I didn't do it myself. The method of death of the thousands of people is actually similar to the death method of those people just now, they all died of various accidents. Quote. Died in an accident. The marshals looked at Yi Xuandao strangely. Yizan said slowly, yes, they died in accidents just like those people just now, but the essence is because their fates were replaced by those of Conan and Shaolin, that is to say, those talents it's the consequences that Conan and Shaolin deserve. Yizan's words made Conan look at Yizan in shock. In other words, you indirectly killed thousands of people in order to resurrect us. Yes, Yizan said with a smile. How could you do this? Shaolin looked at Yizan and said, how could you kill thousands of people to save us? No, 18 looked at the crowd with a sneer. So, husband, you shouldn't be entangled with these people, you have been accusing you of not saving people before. Well, I saved them both now, they still don't appreciate it, what did they say? What's the point of such a thankless task of killing thousands of people trying to save them? Yizan waved his hand. Don't say that. After all, they are 2 sons of destiny. It's not too unacceptable to save thousands of people dying. What's your attitude? Officer Miu Miu shouted at Yizan. That's the life of thousands of people. Every day people die, thousands of people die, this is very normal, birth, old age, sickness and death, behind many seemingly normal deaths, is the manipulation of fate, and the same is true for the deaths of thousands of people. Yi Xuanxuan slowly said, I don't think it's a loss to exchange the death of less than 1,000 people for the survival of the 2 children of destiny. At this time, the marshal looked at Yizan and said, Son of Destiny. Is this the fate after being replaced? Yizan looked at the expectant look of the marshals, and sneered, You think too much, each person's aptitude is different, and the number of fate lines they can bear is different. just like a lake can never hold water in a vast ocean. However, your idea is good. Yes, for example, if you kill a wealthy businessman or someone who will become a wealthy businessman in the future and replace his fate, then you have a high possibility of becoming a wealthy person. Similarly, the truth is, if you kill a high-ranking official, then you can easily rise to the fore. Quote. Really, the marshal, who had always been very frightened, felt heartfelt happiness at this moment. At this moment, the marshal was very grateful that he had encountered this incident, and so, I can change my destiny, said the marshal in surprise. It's so simple there. Yizan looked at the surprised marshals and said, first of all, you have to kill him, but, can you kill him without any measures? You need to take his fate line to kill him. Yizan said, and slowly drew a pattern on a piece of paper that looked a bit like a flower on the other side. No, we need to draw such a pattern on the body of the deceased. By the way, it is best to draw it before death. The worst thing is to draw it when you just die, because the fate line will disappear quickly with death, so the longer the time of death, the weaker the effect, and the fate line after a person's death can only be maintained for half a day at most. The marshal looked at the pattern on the paper in front of Yizan and flattered, well, I will take this thing. Yizan nodded slowly, take it, I hope you can escape the punishment of fate after you leave my side. Yizan said and glanced at the black flower on the other side of the marshal, and thought for a while, forget it, for your sensible sake, I'll help you cover it for a while. Following Yizan's words, Yizan's hand swept across the black other side flower in the hands of the marshals, and then, in the eyes of everyone's astonishment, the black other side flower slowly faded its color and turned into pure snow white. I don't know how long this shelter from fate can last, so you'd better pay attention to this other side flower. When it turns black, what does it mean? Don't say you don't know. Yizan's mouth twitched. A playful smile. I know. The marshal nodded quickly, and after accusing him, he quickly left the place. Wait, you're not really going to kill, are you? Officer Mew Mew hurriedly chased out. Yizan, on the other hand, put his eyes on Conan, Shaolin and Mori Kogoro. Do you have anything else to do? Hurry up and leave after asking. Yizan's words made Shaolin bow to Yizan very embarrassedly. I am sorry. I came to disturb you, and let you save us so much trouble. Yizan looked at Shaolin and said with interest, what? Don't want to give your life back? Yizan's words made Shaolin bow her head in embarrassment. Seriously, who wants to die? Even Shaolin is extremely afraid of unknown things like death. And Conan didn't even speak. Humph. Number 18 snorted coldly and came to the three of them. Okay, my husband helped you become the children of destiny, so hurry back and enjoy life, don't get in the way here. Shaolin was taken aback by number 18's words, and she looked at number 18 and said, help us become the children of destiny. Bullshit. Or else, do you think it's because of you guys that you want to be the son of destiny? Save it. Number 18 said coldly, waving his hand. Hurry up, it's annoying to see you all, it's just some unknown reasons. A loser who doesn't know how to be grateful. Chapter 19 _ How come there are so many murders? 201. It was Yizan who helped us become the children of destiny. Nonsense. Or else, do you think you were originally the children of destiny? Or is it just because you want to be the children of destiny? Save it. Number 18 said coldly, waving his hand. Hurry up, see you both. It's just annoying, it's just some money-losing goods who don't know how to be grateful. The words on the 18th made the three of them smile, and when they were about to say something, Kogoro Mori suddenly interjected. By the way, what will be the benefits after we become the children of destiny? Maori Kogoro asked while looking at Yizan. Yizan glanced at Maori Shaogoro and said calmly, sorry, you are not in the ranks of the Son of Destiny. As for the benefits of the Son of Destiny, there are many. The most basic point is that it can satisfy my innermost feelings well. For example, if Conan's wish is to be a detective, then he will continue to encounter all kinds of difficult cases. For another example, if Shaolin's wish is to find a Prince Charming, then Shaolin will encounter one. The perfect man. Yizan's words made Maori Kogoro come to Yizan with a shy face. Hey, can you get me a Son of Destiny too? 247 Yizan. A Byakugan. Go go go. You think this is Chinese cabbage? Yizan said and waved his hand to let everyone leave. 18, who had been impatient for a long time, quickly sent everyone away. Then, number 18 quickly came to Yizan. Husband, why are you doing this? Number 18 did not understand Yizan's behavior. Yizan said slowly, in order to better observe the operation and change of fate, the greed of human beings is endless. As long as you show a little something that human beings like, then the greed of human beings will explode far beyond what you imagine. Yizan said. The back of the marshal's departure appeared in his mind. I'm really looking forward to how greed will make me feel. The corner of Yizan's mouth twitched slightly. The operation of fate is obscure and difficult to understand. Even the current Yizan cannot change his fate with a little carelessness, and even if Yizan has a huge mental power, he is still unable to fully understand the operation of fate. With the help of ordinary people is a good choice. Once human beings can reverse and change their own destiny, the operation of destiny will definitely be more informative than before. Really? Number 18 looked at Yizan. Although it was a little strange, he didn't have much doubts. After all, many of Yizan's actions were not understood by number 18 at the beginning, but they were all successful in the end. Ah! Yizan yawned loudly, looking at number 18, a smile cracked at the corner of his mouth. Just change the fate of those people. I'm a little tired. Number 18, let's do something we love to do. Go. Yizan said that without waiting for number 18 to refuse, he directly picked up number 18 and walked into the room. As for the marshals and Conan, it is estimated that it is not so fast now. However, what Yizan didn't know was that Yizan really underestimated the degree of greed of human beings. After the marshal left Yizan's mansion, he got rid of the police officer Mumu's pursuit at a very fast speed. After that, they began to investigate the itinerary of various wealthy businessmen and high-ranking officials and a series of other matters, preparing to commit murder. The police officer Mumu was also overwhelmed by this incident, and was constantly looking for the last marshal. In this case, Conan followed Shaolin, and Sonoko was invited to Minagawa's house for a Valentine's Day party, and the murder happened again. Although it was soon cracked by Conan. But this time, Conan did not have the joy of cracking the case in his heart. On the contrary, Conan's heart was extremely solemn. Could it be that what he said is true? Yizan's words resurfaced in Conan's heart. The most obvious point of the Son of Destiny is that he can well realize his wishes, such as his own detective's wishes. Could it be that wherever I go in the future, there will be murders? Conan thought. But Conan didn't know that his idea was well implemented in the future. Compared to Conan, after Shaolin encountered this incident, a person emerged in her heart, Kudo Shinichi. Speaking of this, Kudo Shinichi doesn't seem to have seen any trace of him for a long time. Shaolin said with a wink. Because of Yizan's appearance, Mao Lilan met Yizan when he was very young. Therefore, his feeling for Conan is not a childhood sweetheart, but more like a neighbor's friend. In the original book, Mao Lilan has been looking for Kudo Shinichi. However, it was after the murder that Shaolin now remembered that it seemed that she hadn't seen her neighbor, Kudo Shinichi, for a long time. Forget it, don't care, wait until the next time you meet Yizan, just ask him. Shaolin quickly forgot about this matter. Shaolin has also been in contact with Yizan since she was a child. In Shaolin's mind, she has never had any problems with Yizan since she was a child. This time, she just finds someone and she will be able to solve it soon. However, what saddens Maurilan is, it didn't take long for this matter to pass, and it wasn't time for him to ask Yizan Kudo Shinichi's whereabouts. Another trouble was experienced by myself. Before he went to Yizan's house, his detective agency had a business. Dr. Agawa has been receiving unsigned money and toys for the past 2 years. As a result, Maurilan and Conan and others resolved this matter again. This incident also made Conan relax a little. It seems that I was made a little nervous by Yizan. Where are there so many murder cases? However, the more detective-like things, the better, Conan thought. And Conan didn't know that, when he was thinking about this, Maolilan looked at Conan with a very suspicious look. Maurilan, who has already experienced fate, does not believe in becoming a child. Chapter 20 _ Conan is the new one. What? Maolilan looked at Yizan in surprise. Conan is actually Kudo Shinichi. Yizan nodded. Yeah, because he saw some gray transactions. He was forced to take a medicine, but this medicine was weird and had a miraculous change with him, making him a child. Quote. Yizan looked at Maolilan's unbelievable expression and said, don't believe it either. Now that the people around Conan have removed you, it is estimated that only your father, Mori Kogoro, doesn't know about the rest. Dr. Akasa and Kudo Shinichi's parents are aware of this. Yizan's words made Maolilan stunned for a moment, and then nodded to show that he knew. At this moment, Maolilan didn't have much feeling in his heart. The only feeling he had was that he was self-indulgent, and his friendship with Conan was not as close as he imagined. However, Maolilan didn't care too much. It wasn't a big problem anyway. I didn't expect that there would be such a miraculous drug in the world, Maolilan said slowly. Yizan waved his hand casually. Some things, the more you see, the more you will know about Akatsuki. Yizan's words made Maolilan a little strange. He didn't know what Yizan meant. Yizan looked at Maolilan's strange expression, and explained slowly, just like the fate you saw before, some things seem to be ordinary, but hidden under this ordinary are some of you unexpected truth. Maolilan looked at Yizan strangely, like Shinichi became Conan. Yizan was drowsy and did not answer Maolilan. Seeing this, Maolilan bowed slightly and left. After Maolilan left, he came to Yizan on the 18th. How's the marshal's side? Yizan asked when he saw 18 Hao's arrival. I'm very lucky, I've got some very good fate lines. Number 18 said slowly. Yizan glanced at number 18, I actually got some very good fate lines. Is it your credit? Otherwise, with the help of the marshals, if you want to get a good fate line, I guess 1 or 2 are okay. Some just hang. The corner of number 18 feet's mouth burst into a bright smile. Not bad, how is it? Do you like it? Yizan said casually. That's it, don't take action next time, otherwise, how could some good shows be staged? No, 18 nodded and said nothing. Suddenly, Yizan narrowed his eyes slightly as if he felt something. And when Yizan narrowed his eyes, Yizan's mind was all in another place, and that was the scene of a murder case. The murder was in an art gallery. I don't know if it was a coincidence, Shaolin, Conan and others were also present. Medieval armor walks and kills by itself. The corners of Yizan's mouth twitched slightly, and he said to number 18, it looks like that marshal's masterpiece. On the 18th, he looked at Yizan. Then why don't you go and have a look? No. Yizan said, pondered for a while, and said to number 18, compared to this, how many people know about the marshals? Of course. Number 18 said with a deflated mouth to Yizan, I did this myself, how can there be not many people who know about it? Well, the more people who know it, the easier it is to handle. Yizan nodded. After all, the marshal is just a marshal, just an ordinary person. It is estimated that those who know will kill and take away his fate in a short time. Line. Yizan said slowly. On the 18th, he looked at Yizan and said, I really don't know why you spread out such powerful abilities. Wouldn't it be very bad if someone took action against you in the future? Yizan shook his head. What I am doing now is actually more like farming. If I plant with my own strength, I will reap more things in the future. Yizan's words made number 18 shrug his shoulders casually. Okay, it's up to you. On the other hand, in that art museum, Conan quickly found the murderer. However, this time, Conan did not speak directly to Officer Mumu. The police officer Mumu also looked at the corpse silently, with anger flashing in his eyes. Because on this corpse, a pattern similar to the other side flower is very eye-catching. Yi-zan. At this moment, both Conan and Officer Mumu were extremely angry. However, there was no way, because with the help of number 18, the marshals no longer needed to kill themselves. Instead, they established an organization to let their younger brothers collect the fate line. And the sensitivity this time is the masterpiece of this organization. Although Conan and Officer Mumu both knew about this, but seriously, this kind of thing, if it hadn't been seen with their own eyes, would not have any reference value, but the two knew that this was the case with Yi-zan. Have a lot to do with it. Damn. Although Conan was angry, he quickly analyzed the murder case, and at the same time, sent the unimportant murderer brother to the police station. Then, Officer Mumu and Conan looked at each other, and brought Shaolin and Mori Kogoro to Yi-zan's mansion again. Hey, did you know that your actions have already caused that marshal to commit several murders? As soon as he entered the mansion, Conan yelled at Yi-zan. Yi-zan glanced at Conan and said slowly, "Really? That's really tenacious. This is your attitude. Do you know that your actions have caused many people to die?" Conan roared at Yi-zan. Ho ho ho, ho ho ho. Yi-zan scratched his ears impatiently. Really, I wouldn't have saved you if I knew it earlier. Let yourself taste what the marshals are like now. Chirp crookedly, stand and talk, no back pain. Quote. Yi-zan's words made Conan stunned for a moment, and then fell silent. To be honest, if Conan really died, Conan was really reluctant. Officer Mew Mew looked at Yi-zan and said, "However, if you do this, you will really make a lot of people commit crimes, but you cannot be punished.